me, I think it was more living on at the time. I think I lived through survival mode. I was just basically doing what I had to do, following instruction and just going through the motions of being a child and being groomed. However, I think after I graduated from grade 12, which was matric, we call it matric in South Africa. I then realized, because now I realized that I was on my own and I needed to kind of find my space and navigate through life best that I could. And I started actually just looking inward and looking into what works for me, and working through that. And that's the reason why I actually realized the importance of self-awareness and self-discovery in all that you do. So, because what works for you might not work for the next person, and what works for the next person might not necessarily work for you. So, honestly, societal norms, I feel to a certain extent, they temper with a person's effectiveness in terms of functionality. Okay, so yes, for me, I think the biggest aha was the fact that I realized that there are a lot of societal norms that temper with the process of you actually understanding yourself and you actually realizing what works and does not work for you. And that is the core of how you are effective as a person, as a human being. We function differently because we are meant to function in different you know places and spaces, and we all have a specific uniqueness about us that adds value to each other's lives. So my biggest tool was self-discovery, understanding the learning process and being patient with myself enough to understand that I was a work in progress, and what worked for me was enough at the moment, and I was then able to navigate myself better going forward, and only focusing on the things that actually worked than the norm. And I feel like this is a way of life. The more you focus on your abilities and your interests and what resonates with you, the better you become at whatever you do. So it's like passion always excels. And for me, that's the reason why I actually saw self discovery as a core component of us actually even incorporating it with career guidance. Okay, so the pillar of the organization is really self-discovery, because that is what I realized assisted me in my journey, to see what works for me and navigate my space in the best way that I could. And that actually ensured that I operate in the fullness of my potential. And that is what I wanted for each and every learner to get, to be able to learn how they do things and how they learn and how they excel and which areas they excel. And I've also realized that there isn't enough tools for a learner to be able to self-discover and be able to understand the choices that they make about their lives, and wanted to support the process. And you see, with self awareness, the nice thing about it is that you can see even where you need development. So you are able to identify your challenges and see how best to help yourself. And others are able to even know how to support you. And that's basically the key element in our organization. And with me starting a book, I realized that there is a lack of awareness, and it's more about raising awareness with the challenges that exist and how to support learners with learning disabilities, and how to then support the process instead of generalizing kids and teaching kids in the same manner. So it's a book to encourage the kids and for them to be able to look inward and see themselves for who they are and their potential, to build resilience and patience for themselves enough to develop the areas that need development within themselves, and for parents to be able to understand, to observe their kids and be able to help them through who they are developing to be as individuals, and to see or learn different measures in which they can support their kids' development in the best way that they can do that. And also to create awareness with the department to say self-discovery is the key element that helps a learner to be able to bring their full potential to the table, and also become fulfilled, happy human beings. And that's basically what we are bringing to the table. Yes, so I feel like children need to actually be observed, and taught in the best way they are able to understand, and guided according to how they are, instead of them expecting to adjust to whatever methods that is given to them. And that is what causes a lot of challenges. And there's a lot of lack of awareness in terms of different learning and teaching styles. As I highlighted, in my childhood, I've always been the naturalistic learner, where I learned through experiences, observation, and engagements. And that was supposed to be identified, and, it was supposed to be. Worked upon by the education system. So there is a lack of awareness in terms of the learning different the different learning and teaching styles, which becomes the first challenge. And then there is a lack of awareness in terms of different learning disabilities. In psychology they call it hidden disabilities, because the learner looks like they are fine. They're not like your normal disabilities where you are unable to do certain things, but it just requires support, extra support, if I may put it like that. And I was also only able to realize it while doing psychology. And there's a lack of awareness in terms of these learning disabilities that are out there. I struggled with reading, and it was seen as though I was not doing enough, instead of it actually being explored as a challenge, and looking into ways to support me, up until I actually realized that no, let me try see how I can support myself. And I wanted to provide the same support to learners, to create awareness that no, it's okay. You maybe have a learning disability. However, there is support that can be provided for you to best support yourself to be able to excel at your fullest potential. Most learners that do have learning disabilities actually excel, or they can do as, they are mostly average and top students. It's just a matter of them being supported in the right kind of way. Supporting myself just came as an intuition to me, honestly, because the standard of education from basic education to higher education is actually higher. It's next level. And I then used to study with a dictionary on Google. And whatever words I was unable to understand or even read, I would click on the pronunciation so that I'm able to listen to how it reads, and understand what the meaning is. And that actually worked for me. It boosted my academics quite tremendously, because I then started understanding what I was reading, because I was supporting my reading, and then I was able to even develop a culture of reading, and I then build my vocabulary and my writing through that. And that actually created awareness in terms of me being able, to achieve certain things and do better. At some point I was getting distinctions because I was doing so well. So I realized that the art is in navigating your own space and understanding where your abilities are, and where your support and development areas are, and being patient with the process, actually also researching about how you can navigate around those spaces and how you can create better development for yourself within those spaces. And yeah, that really worked out really well for me, and I wanted each and like other people to be able to understand the learning development stage as a work in progress and as a thing that you need to actually research on and find ways that work for you as an individual. Okay, they're both targeting everyone because it's very common that people do not follow their hearts. They always say follow your heart. It's because it's a self-awareness thing. What you are as a person is where you will excel. It's where you'll be most happy because you do what you do effortlessly. And it's almost like we've moved away from our identities based on survival. And I'm trying to restore the identity part of things so that a person is most effective where they are, and they're giving the best of themselves, and they are able to even develop themselves in the right spaces within the areas that they need to be developing. And we actually decided to do a 5-year incubation program so that it's full support. There's so many gaps. There's so many programs that are doing similar things. However, there are gaps in terms of the support that's given, and we wanted to make sure that we incubate and we ensure that when we release a learner, they are released into a place where they are stable and independent in who they are, and having had made well-informed decisions, understand from a level of understanding. And yeah, Mustard Seed basically is a 5-year incubation program that looks into supporting a learner from grade 8 all the way to grade 12, and it starts with self-awareness, and we ensure that we bring everything to the table for you to be able to self-discover and to see even your weaknesses and your development areas, and you are able to look at what is out there for you to explore and which areas of development you need to be looking at. And then we move on. We do it in phases so that there's enough time to explore everything. So the first year, the first part is self-awareness, and the second part is self-information, it's career information. So we also realized the challenge around the limitation of information that is out there in terms of different careers, the growth patterns, and the learning patterns, the evolution patterns, and we wanted to ensure that a learner understands fully what they are getting themselves into, the learning and development process of it, and the kind of environments they will be going into if they follow that particular career stream before they even arrive at the point where they have to choose their subjects, because most of the time it's choosing a selection of subjects is done blindly because you have not gotten to a point where you have self-discovered enough for you to know that you want to actually really be in this career field. Most of the time you'll find that a lot of career choices are chosen circumstantially. My mother's a nurse, so I want to be like my mother, so I'll be a nurse, and it's not done in the way in the correct manner of you actually soul searching and seeing what resonates with you according to your personality, your abilities, your interests, and where you would actually excel and be happy. And we realized that the sustainability of things lies more in the self-awareness than the circumstantial decisions. And also for mental health purposes, you are more happier where your heart resonates with, than you being on survival mode. Yeah, so then we moved to also supporting in terms of tutoring, and I did touch on learning, teaching, and learning styles. We actually do our tutoring based on those focusing on those two elements, ensuring that a learner understands their own learning style and how they and the various learning styles and how they can actually learn, and so that they can learn effectively. And then we also support in terms of applications with bursaries and applications because applications for higher learning, because some learners have challenges in terms of applying and also financial constraints. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's what we do as Mustard Seed Foundation. The services that we provide in accordance to the 5-year incubation program that we provide. So we start first with self-awareness, which we provide then a psychometry assessment that you do with a qualified psychometrist. And then you'll get a feedback session where it's one-on-one counseling, career counseling, giving also the feedback of the assessment. And then we move to career information and exposure. This is mostly to ensure that a learner makes a well-informed decision. So we mostly host career information sessions at the school or host webinars, and it becomes a general learning platform, even for those that are not within our program. And then we'll also create social spaces where we can have like interactive sessions with professionals and students, where students can actually ask questions about the learning environments, and they ask questions about things that they wouldn't normally get from a book, or a career expo, and just to expose them to the environment so that they actually fully acquaint themselves with the learning option that they would have chosen. Then we also provide tutoring, and our tutoring is mostly based on what we touched on, which is the learning styles and teaching styles, and ensuring that an individual learns how they learn, and they also know how to learn how they learn, and focus on helping them cope and supporting them in all aspects so that they can be able to meet the requirements that they're supposed to meet for their best results in higher learning. Then we also provide support with subject selection, which aligns to the career choice that they would have chosen. Then we move to career for the bursaries. Then we move on to applications for bursaries for higher learning, because finances, we know that is sometimes a challenge. Then they also do applications for higher learning itself, because the process can be tedious at times. And in terms of contact details, you can find us on, my email address is matsepear@mustardseedza.com, and our Facebook page is Mustard Seed Foundation. On Instagram, we are mustardseed_RSA. On LinkedIn, we are Mustard Seed Foundation.